Okay guys, welcome back. My name is Paul Kroon and I'm gonna be your host today, and today we're gonna do the second video on our Flow SQL server tutorials. So last time we made our server instance and we made our database and our tables, and today we're gonna look at the tables and we're gonna do some logic. So first we're gonna build views on our tables, then we're gonna make store procedures, and then we call them from Flow and get the information back in PowerApps. So very nice video, I think. So let's start with doing it. So here we have our PowerApps dimmer requisition. We have some tables, and for the rest the database is empty. So what I'm gonna do first is just basically say I want to script this table as a select table. And what I have is here all the customers I have. And then I'm gonna think about what do I want to show to the customer and what do I want them to see when I have a view. And on the view I basically want to see everything, only I want to make it a more richer schema. So what I want to do in this moment is just cut this part and copy this, put in an extra line and use the concat ws function. And the concat ws is a little bit like the join of text join as you have in Excel. And when concat underscore ws is not supported by you, you have to concatenate the strings. But what a concat ws makes it possible is to just put in a separator and then put in my fields. And the separator will be only filled when there is a information, when this is not blank. So when I don't have a zip code, then the zip code is passed, there is just one space, and the address and the city will be concatenated. So that's the nice thing about this function. Just as the text join in Excel, it's smart basically. So now I have the customer name, the address separate, and the address combined. And let's say I give this a name, full address, for example, full address. So it has a label when I get it in my view or to PowerApps. So let's copy this part, and you see I work a lot in the new query window and with fast menus, and then I basically gonna put this in a view. And in this part, in the under part, and when we want to control our formula, we say Control R, and then it's like run, just like the F5 in the query window. And then we see our information here. And for a relation table, this is perfectly fine because we don't have joins normally. Maybe we have joins on the customer group, but basically it's fine to do it like this. So let's save this and let's call this view customer BA. And this is fine. If we now refresh this, we have one view for our customer. Now let's go to the programmability and choose store procedure. And we're gonna build a new store procedure. And first we go to the view. We do the script view as a select. And we get the same as in the last part, only now with the full address. And here I want to add a condition, and the condition is that active should be 1. So when I get my customers to PowerApps, I basically, when I have new requisition, only need the active customers. So this is basically fine, but maybe I want to have the inactive customers in another place, so I can see some historic figures with a customer which is basically closed or something like that. So let's select this and do Ctrl C to copy it and just put it here. It's that easier that just get this away. We don't need parameters in this case. Later on we're gonna put parameters here and we gonna say this is SB customers BA. So and BA is basically PowerApps, but you can give it every way you want. So I always do my descriptions because this is very important that you always do this, because else later on you don't know what you're doing anymore. So always make your comments here. Don't be lazy, but put the comments here. So get customers to PowerApps. And now let's run this, refresh our store procedures, and let's first execute this to see if it works. And always do this step because you don't want to have that PowerApps doesn't work or Flow doesn't work and you are taking hours to see that the problem is in the store procedure and not in Flow or PowerApps. So always check everything you do. So here we have the customer ID, the customer name, address, zip code, city, and the full address, and only the active customer. So now we have 50. Let's say, let's edit one here. It's just one moment. And say this one is false. Enter and go down. Now it's saved. Let's close this. Do F5 to run it again. And we see we have 49 customers instead of 50. So we know this works. Okay, now let's close all documents because we ain't gonna need this. And now we have a store procedure which we can call from Flow. Now, what we're gonna do now as the next step, we're gonna go to PowerApps and we're gonna import the package with our template. So we have a mobile template, and if you didn't follow this tutorials, go to block number 13 till 18 or 19 I think, and there I show you how to build this template. So we're gonna import this template, have to wait a little bit for it to first get loaded and unzipped. Let's change this, let's change our name. And let's see here, and take this name, copy this, go back to PowerApps and put our resource name. And this is going to be the name of our new app. We don't have resources in this moment and we create it as new. And always you can change it here to update if you already have an app with this name and you want to override it or to update it. So let's save and let's import this. Now we're gonna import the package and the app is gonna be created. And when we're done, we see that all package resources are successfully imported. And when we now go to Learn and back to Apps, we see our PowerApps demo record station. So let's open this by adding it. And now first we get a request to allow Office 365 and we want to do that. And then our app is loaded with all the schemas, with our layers, with the user forms, our num keys and our events, which we're gonna use in just one moment. So let's first go to the app settings. Okay, this don't have to change. Maybe you want to change your icon, the portrait. Okay, we're gonna keep this. This we're gonna set to 2000 because maybe we want to use views later to have historic information to the to the client, and check the improve app rendering and also check if the enhanced grouping is there. So it is. So I say save and then go back to my app. So now we have our app here, and let's make our first flow. So we can go to F5 and click this, or we can put in the Alt key and click this, and here we have our triggers or events. So let's take the first one, and here we collect the users, and let's put another one here. So we can do that here because when we put in an action here, it's gonna erase everything. So I basically take the top one, go to actions and then flow, and I'm gonna create a new flow. Okay, now we are in flow, and when you didn't have the connection, you first have to add a connection here in flow. This maybe you first can do open flow in another screen, and then choose your connection and add a new one, and just take SQL Server and follow the steps provided there. So I already did this, so I'm gonna add a new action, and I'm gonna use the SQL Server. I'm gonna use a execute store procedure, and then first check the menu that you have the right connection. Now I have just one, so that's gonna be fine. But in other places I have 4 or 5 or 6 different connections to different databases and even different sources. So we really have to check here, and I have to check a test that I'm using the right one. So now I have the name of the store procedure, and you see here the store procedure we just made is available in this list. And let's take this part and say this is our record station button. And when you have more than one database and more than one apps, it's always easy to put in an extra letter or something else to know that you have the right database and the right flow for you. So I give it a name, and only after the name I'm gonna save it. Don't do this before, because then the name won't show up in PowerApps and you get the flow button and it's not descriptive enough. So now we have our store procedure, we have our PowerApp, and let's first test this procedure and get some information back. So we have the right SQL server, you check that here, and we say continue. Then PowerApp say we don't need additional input, that's okay. And the flow successfully started. Done. Okay, and here we have our parameters. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna copy the part behind the table 1. And when we look at this, the body, we see output parameters, return code, result set, and table. And the last part is very important when you want to give back information to PowerApps. So in this case, it's a result cell table 1. It could also be that you have here values or something else. You just have to use this part then to get your information back. So you really have to tell Flow which information you want to give back to your application. Now I'm gonna copy this part from the right bracket till the first square bracket, and then I'm normally use Notepad. So let's go to Notepad and paste it in, because first I have to look at my results. And what I first do is have a right bracket at the end, and then I'm gonna look at my parameters and I'm gonna change it, and I'm gonna look for all the nulls I have here. So here the customer group name, I know this is a text parameter, and normally I take this out, the zip code. So I know I have checked them all, put for the number 0, true, okay, it's true, and take this out. And this is my input for the next step in Flow. And normally I copy this and I paste it in my Teams for Microsoft, and there I make like a notepad and I make a section and pages for all my JSON input strings. So I'm gonna reuse it later, because we're gonna need this not on this. In this case, we only gonna need it here, but sometimes we need it on more places. And also, when you want to adjust this, it's easier to take this part and just adjust it to your needs. Then go to all the steps again. So now we have changed our body. Let's go to edit and add a new step. And you have to look for the request here. So we have a response request, and we're gonna use this one. So we're gonna go to the advanced schema options, and we're gonna use sample payload to generate schema. And here we're gonna put in our string we just built from our table. And if we say done, we see we have a type, an array, items, we have a customer name with type of string, and we see that everything is nicely put in for our return to PowerApps. Now let's see if our body exists. Here we see the result set table is exists, so we're gonna choose that. If it's not there, you need another expression, but I think we're gonna come to that later when the table is missing here. And I'm gonna show you what expression you then have to use in this case. So let's save this result and always say I want to test it one more time. And basically I'll always ask a new trigger because I put in an extra element. So let's go to the response and let's go to the output and see if we have records. And we have. So this is fine. So now we go back to PowerApps, to our record station, and then we're gonna see our PA customer BI edit to our flows. So here we see our flow dot run. Let's run. So it's brought in. We can type this out. We really have to edit first before we can use it anywhere in our app. So here we see at the top a run with a square bucket, so we don't need any parameters. And let's enter it. Go to the start. I always put in a comma here first and then to the start again. And here we're gonna put in a formula clear collect. And let's say these are the customers. And let's just call it customers. I think it's fine. We can also say customer list, for example. If we think we gonna have a table or something else, which is called customers, then we are great. So now let's try it. So let's put in Alt and click our button. And now our view customer list has our customers. Great. Now let's select this. Let's cut it. Go to an Unstart parameter and basically say this don't have to go in anymore and this is not needed. No, we have the user and we have our customers list. So let's see it one more time. We have a user which is empty. We have a customer list which is empty because we changed it to F5 and run our script, and then our customers are back again. And this part will run on the onstart of our screen because we have with the onVisible, we say when we start, the onstart is not set yet. So when it's not true, we want to run our event. And this was event 1, we had just run. And then we say onstart true should be true, so the next time it doesn't run again. So basically we're gonna run this event and take our first list in, our first collection. And in this case, I have only 50 customers, but I have cases that the customers are well over 2000. So I can do it another way to use it everywhere in my app. And also it's a mobile app. So when we bring it in now, later on we're going to store it locally. So we have it for uses at every given time. So every time we open the app, we get our local customers in and we are ready to go. So we don't need mobile traffic in there. So let's go to our solution again and do the same for the destination types. Select, do a query window. Okay, does it give it back? Yeah, oh, nice. Let's copy this, go to views, make a new view. And I do it a little bit faster now. See if our records are back and say save PA destinations nation types. And we're gonna go on a little bit. We're gonna do that for all our relation or dim tables we have. So let's select here. Let's run this, see if we have some information. What do I selected the wrong way. So we have this selected. Go to our views, make a new view, put in our select statement, see if it works, save it as view PA registration types. It's okay. Let's refresh our views. Then first take the first one, script it as select2. And you see also when this view isn't needed, I'm gonna put it in anyway, because later when I want to change my table, then the rest will just be the same. When I put in an extra column to put in something, I can use it elsewhere, but my application won't break by this. So let's put our select statement here. Let's take this out. We don't need parameters. We have to give it a name. PA destination types. Let's do it like this. Now I ain't gonna bother that. Normally I would do that, but now let's run it and do it for the next one. And I forget one thing with our store procedure. I'm gonna change that in just one moment because I forget to say where active is 1. Because I only want the ones which are active. SP registration types. Okay, do the rest and execute this. Refresh the store procedures and we have to modify this one to say where active is 1. Enter it and now our store procedures are ready. And again, check it. Always check it if it works. Because when you change something and it doesn't work and you think you did everything right, it can be a headache to notice it after 3-4 hours that it's wrong. So everything is right. I again say close all documents because I ain't need it anymore. And I'm clear for my next step in the next video. So now let's go to PowerApps, take the 26th again, go to the action button, flows, create a new flow, add a new step, choose SQL, SQL server, store procedure, there it is, destination type, select Okay, this part, destination types. We called it R for registration, I think. And when the name is changed, I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna do a test. Save the test. It's a good database. We don't need additional parameters. And we got our result back. Here again, result set table. We're gonna pick this part to the first one. Copy this. Go to Notepad. Oh. And of course, before you paste it to somewhere else, you can format it nicely if you want to. So it's nice there. So here we have a 1, here we have home. So let's take out home. This is true and this is a 0 or a 1. It doesn't matter really. We have to close it with the right bracket. Let's copy this. Go back to flow. Edit our flow. Add a new step. Find our request. Do a response. Go to advanced. Use sample. Check if all things, the destination type, integer, name of this, all are having a type. That's important, the type. Go to the end response. Here the table is again. Else you're gonna go to and do body execute underscore stored procedure dot result set dot table 1, and this is then the parameter for your expression. If the table is not there, you're gonna put it in. We save it, test it one more time, always test it. Don't forget this step, because else you're gonna have hours of frustration when you are in PowerApps and it doesn't work. And here, let's see if we have the right return. And I know this is only 3 records, but I don't like to connect directly to my table. So I'm gonna use flow for everything. So let's go to PowerApps. Here the flow is there. Let's do closings for first flow, and the second one is for our clear context formula. We're gonna do clear collect, and this is destination types, and let's call it list, same as the other one. Copy this, go to the Unstart again, put in a comma, go down and clear destination types. And now we just gonna add it in, and later on we gonna take it in or load the local. Then if it's empty, get it in from flow, and then after that save it. And maybe change that when we have a new version of our app, or when it's longer than a period of time ago, and probably we have changed the customers, for example. So let's go to like a flow. Oh, we want to have flow again. You can also do like this. Go to my flows, create from blank, first choose PowerApps, and you will see this has a little bit different color because we ain't triggered it from PowerApps, but it's basically gonna do the same. We're gonna pick our SQL, store procedure, take our registration types, take this part and give it a name before we save it, really before we save it, because else we won't be able to recognize it later on. Let's perform a test, continue, let's run. We don't need extra parameters. Let's see our results, go to our table again. So you see we're gonna repeat ourselves. a lot. Now here I see the active is true, the name is home, and the type. So it's everything is filled, but still I'm gonna put it here. Oh. Because basically I'm gonna store this somewhere else in Teams or a notepad or whatever, and I have to reuse it, and I really want to be keen on this one because we're gonna reuse this a lot in other occasions. So now we have our string properly formatted. Let's find the request again. Let's edit, go to advanced, use the sample. Oh, here I forgot the close brackets. A look of all the types are there, and take our table and save this. Test it one more time to be sure that everything is properly configured. We are humans, so we can definitely make mistakes. Then go to PowerApps, take the 26 again, go to our flows, take our new flow, and basically the new flow is normally at the end, and later on when you go there it's by alphabetic organization. So it's good to do it one by a time so you know you really use them. Oh, let's say we have registration types list, and let's copy this, go to the Unstart, put in a comma, and we have our next list imported. Now let's run it one more time. So we run it, we go to our collections, and we have our user types, our user, customer list, and our destination types. Bring into PowerApps. Easy, I think. So this is it for the first video on Flow, and basically there are some catches, but this is like the structure we're gonna repeat over and over again. Only we're gonna do some additions, which are very nice and neat to see. So I hope to see you in the next video, and then we're gonna do a little bit the same, only we're gonna do it with our fact table, with the registrations. There is a little bit more to it. So I hope to see you then, and thanks for watching.